Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Summer Cup. Honestly, I did not know this, but actually the Summer Cup is already going to be available tomorrow, or like depending on when you see this video, on Friday just generally. Usually for those cups or just generally those changes, it always kind of starts on the day where the league also starts, which would have been Saturday this time around, but actually on Friday the league's going to be already changing, so definitely be aware of this. So already on Friday in the evening for me, maybe midday for you, we're going to have the Summer Cup as well as the Ultra League. Ultra League most likely going to be a video as well in a few hours hopefully on this channel as well, so definitely feel free to subscribe and yeah, leave a like on the video as well if you enjoy this type of videos. They always take quite a lot of work, so would really appreciate it. But before we're gonna take a look here at some teams, we're gonna take a look at the meta, and we're gonna start off really quick here with the rule set for it. It's going to be normal, fire, water, grass, electric and bug type Pokemon available, and we go right into the meta. So taking a look now at the meta, we're going to see here on top Toxapex. They're going to have some teams with this Pokemon as well. Very solid, but it's not going to be the most common Pokemon. Let's be honest here. If Vigoroth is number 2 on limited meta, this Pokemon is going to be everywhere. Best say swap most likely. But also Charjabug is going to be very good. Like both Pokemon basically have next to no checks. If you're going to take a look at this one here real quick, Toxapex is the best check for this one, or Poliwrath. But like you're gonna see already, the closer it gets to 500, the closer is the matchup, and this is not even a hard check either. And for Charjabug, you have even less of a check for this Pokemon, which is quite mad. So like those two Pokemon going to be everywhere. Here you have, for example, here a 102 rating, which is really bad for this Pokemon. There are some hard matchups to counter Toxapex, but Vigoroth and Charjabug going to be basically everywhere. Mantine very good as well. Pidgeot going to be very good. Double is going to be kinda not as relevant because it is just going to be kinda the same as the Vigoroth, but Vigoroth is better because of the different kind of fast move. Quite a lot of electric type Pokemon, like all going to be very decent. And if we can see something, for example, Tackle Munchlax, cool Pokemon to use. We have a team for this one coming up here as well for today's video. Quite a lot of Pokemon that is usually Salazzle, a highlight as well for me. Like Salazzle going to be very good as well. Kinda something you should take a look at for sure. But yeah, a lot of normal type Pokemon, a lot of those Pokemon where you don't really want to have Shadow Claw. Speaking of Shadow Claw, Pokemon that you usually see a lot of times, like Feraligatr, are not going to be as good. And also other Pokemon like Typhlosion, which are going to be now buffed, are still playable, but like they are not like crazy good either. So yeah, this is going to be it for the meta. You can use Typhlosion as well. We have some fire type teams where you can just use it on it as well. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Let's move on to the teams. So we can start right off into the first team here. We're going to have it also, by the way, a little bit split up this video. We're going to have a lot of more ABC/ABA lines in the beginning and then ABB lines in the back of the video. If you don't know what this means, I made a video about team building on this channel as well. Check it out for all the 3 different types of team building in Pokemon Go. But anyway, we're going to start off here with a very basic meta line that you're going to most likely encounter quite often. I remember still from last time this cup was around, the core of Toxapex and Trevenant is quite overpowered, and that's kind of why I wanted to make this as like the first team here. If you have those Pokemon, it's very likely that those are going to be a great core. Pidgeot, as like the loss here is not really a loss, you can still have a very neutral matchup with your Toxapex. Vigoroth, as you say, so which is going to be again everywhere in the meta, which you most likely saw in the meta analysis anyway. This Pokemon is going to be a great say swap as well. Also against Pidgeot, you have access to Rock Slide, you still have access to very neutral damage anyway. Then Trevenant, of course, wants to avoid the Pidgeot, but again, you have 2 good Pokemon in the beginning for that one. For Magnezone, Vigoroth as a say swap, totally fine. Trevenant in the back, good answer for it. There's basically no Pokemon that this team cannot deal with. Like this is most likely the best team for this cup. It is what it is. Like this is definitely going to be one that you're going to encounter quite often. I would really recommend you to try it out. I feel like there is, like, I cannot find really a weakness for this team. Like I cannot really find a weakness for this team, so maybe you can either copy this team or you can go ahead and try to counter this team, which is also kind of an interesting thought of as well here for this one. Maybe Charjabug in the lead isn't a little bit of an issue for it. I'm not too sure. I think you can still actually deal with it as well. But yeah, let's move on to team number 2. This team is just like honestly most likely the most broken one of this video. But anyway, we're going to have different options here as well. Again, Charger Bug plus the Vigoroth going to be everywhere. They are very, very safe in this meta. Like, there are not a lot of answers. Like, there's next to no hard answer to Vigoroth. Like, those actual hard answers like a Palo Sand or like a Golurk, which completely wall the entire moveset, are not available here. And so, yeah, Vigoroth is kind of free here in the lead. Totally fine. If you don't want to run Vigoroth, you can also run Crit Dilly, which would be a little bit spicier. It has a little bit of a different options as well. But again, like, this team is going to be quite fine as well. Funny enough that Pidgeot wins against a Charger Bug apparently here on PvPoke. Again, Pidgeot always has like the craziest results on PvPoke, which is not really the case when you actually play it. It's still a very solid Pokemon though for this meta, and we're going to have a team with Pidgeot as well. But here, also kind of an ABB style line here, but not really. Like, Charger Bug is like such a weird Pokemon. It does not really have the same weakness as all the electric type Pokemon in terms of ground type Pokemon there, but it's just like very neutral in general. Like, I feel like this team is going to be also a very good one to run. The normal Stunfisk looks like a lot of fun in this meta as well. Would really recommend you try it out because it's also a decent answer against Charger Bug, against all the flying type Pokemon available, as well as a very neutral pick against the Vigoroth as well. So I feel like this is going to be a very good team to use as well. Team number 3, we're going to have something around Diggersby, and I kind of wanted to have something around Diggersby because this Pokemon I feel like has quite a lot of potential. Maybe actually don't go for Mudshot here, maybe go for Quick Attack instead. I think Quick Attack has a lot of play as well. You kind of have to run Fire Punch. PvPoke gives you a different kind of moveset. I think it's Mudshot, Hyper Beam, Scorching Sands. I think like Quick Attack, Scorching Sand, Fire Punch might be even better than the moveset that I put in here. The just important thing is that you have Fire Punch, because Fire Punch is going to allow you to have even a better matchup against Charger Bug. And this kind of how this team is designed here. We're going to have a lead that is very weak against Charger Bug. Charger Bug Say-Swap is so common. And we have 2 ground types basically in the back if you want to, with also the Quagsire as a Say-Swap if you don't want to go for the Vigoroth route. And Diggersby in the back, which is going to be just a great team in general. I think that's going to be a very good team to use. I feel like Diggersby has a lot of potential. Definitely be aware of Diggersby, and definitely run Fire Punch because you also need it for Trevenant. You're going to have so many matchups where Fire type coverage is great while not being a Fire type yourself. And I feel like this team has so much potential in the current meta. You can also go for Pelipper in the lead, also totally fine. But yeah, this is going to be it for team number 3. Let's move on to team number 4. Tackle these nuts. We're going to have the Munchlax in the lead, or also the Greedent. I would run both of them with Tackle. You can also go for Mudshot on Greedent, like Mudshot is also totally fine. Tackle is a Water Gun clone, for example, that is just like a 1-turn move that does 3 damage and generates 3 energy. Same as also, I think Lick does the exact same as well. But Tackle, of course, is going to be a stab on both of the Pokemon here. And as you're going to see already, Munchlax actually has a lot of play in this meta, and maybe is a little bit underrated. I don't think a lot of people are going to expect this Pokemon. Yes, you kind of have to be a little bit aware as well of the Vigoroth, which can be a little bit awkward for it, but this is why we have 2 good ends in the back here with the Charger Bug or the Toxapex, both of them going to be resisting the counter damage, and or especially like the Toxapex is a great answer to the Vigoroth in the current meta, or like not actually the greatest, but like it is a good answer that definitely can win the matchup all the time, which is quite rare to be seen here because Vigoroth is quite overpowered. But I feel like this team definitely has a lot of play, and Tackle kind of underrated on Munchlax maybe here because also there are not that many Ghost type Pokemon. Again, kind of Skeledirge, which you still have Bulldoze against it. And also the Trevenant are going to be kind of the only Ghost type Pokemon that you would use in this meta. So still very, very balanced Pokemon here. And I think like Munchlax is going to be kind of overlooked from a lot of people. Salazzle. Salazzle is one of the Pokemon that I really want to talk about because I feel like this thing is going to be insane. Salazzle, honestly, like literally, if you take a look at the top Pokemon for this meta, you're going to have Charger Bug, you can completely burn this thing down. You're going to have the Vigoroth, you resist the counter, you can burn this thing down. And like this is kind of already enough to sell Salazzle for me here because, yeah, basically most Pokemon in the meta that you're going to especially encounter in the lead, Salazzle going to completely destroy it. And also if you're going to encounter something like a Trevenant, which I would expect being quite common in this meta as well, Salazzle destroys it. And so I feel like Salazzle is going to have a lot of play in this meta. Definitely if you have one built, for sure something worth building. Here Ferrothorn in the back is also kind of fun to play. We have some anti-water ground type Pokemon in the back, of course, because Salazzle cannot deal with those. But yeah, Ferrothorn would be what I would recommend you a little bit more over the other one there that we have, Lurantis, but also maybe the say swap of Charjabug might be even a bit better against like Pokemon like Pelipper or Mantine compared to the Vigoroth. But yeah, you kind of have to look at this as well. Yeah, also if the opponent has Poliwrath, maybe Charjabug would help you out a little bit more. Next team here, I want to say next opponent, this is not a battle video, hopefully. We're going to have here an ABA line or AAB line, depending on how you really look at it. But we're going to have 2 Water-type Pokemon, one in lead and one as the kinda say-swap for this team. How does it work? You kinda just want to play out the lead matchup a lot of times. If it's a counter user, swap out into your Quagsire. If it's not a counter user, or like not Charjabug you also would want to swap out. Like if it's not a hard counter basically, you can just stay in, and if you lose the Empoleon, that's fine. That's totally okay. You still have another Water type in the back there to deal with a potential Fire type Pokemon. And then you have in the back the Trevenant, which is going to be also kind of fine. Issues can be for this team when your lead is gonna be gone. They have like something like I don't know, like something like a Mantine in the back, or like one of the flying and normal type Pokemon. They could be a little bit awkward here for this team to deal with, because you cannot hit them with Shadow Ball or Seed Bomb or Shadow Claw. You still have Stone Edge though on the Quagsire, so this is going to be kind of still fine for you, but yeah, kind of have to be a little bit careful about this. But I still think that this team would have a lot of play. But yeah, if you get hard counter, definitely swap out into the Quagsire, bringing out flying type Pokemon with that Stone Edge is anyway very, very good, especially for that Trevenant in the back as well. But it's not really an AB line here either, it's more like an AAB line, so that's kind of an interesting team for sure. Starting with 4 different ABB lines now, we're going to have the Pidgeot, Skelodurge, Marowak, Double Fire, Ghost. It's going to be an interesting one. Here, one issue for this team, like one big issue for this team, one small issue for the team is, big issue is Lantern, small issue is Stunfisk. Stunfisk you still do at least neutral damage against. Lantern is going to be quite awkward. I don't know how many Lantern we're going to see here today. I don't think we're going to see too many Lantern. You could still try to do something different in the back, for example, and go for some kind of grass type. I feel like this would work out as well. Go for Ferrothorn, for example, would work out again here for this team. But yeah, Double Fire, there's going to be a different Double Fire line later on as well, which I feel like maybe is going to be even a little bit better. But yeah, this one is going to still kind of work out fine. You know what's also kind of fine? A double counter. Usually for like those limited metas, double counter is something that you see quite commonly. Charjabug, Vigoroth, and Obstagoon seem to be quite decent in the current meta anyway, and as you're gonna see here, on paper, this team looks amazing. For whatever reason, everything loses against Pidgeot in this meta. I don't know, really. Like, Pidgeot is not as great as PvPoke makes it look like, but yeah, basically we have coverage against everything for this team. This looks very balanced on paper. Yeah, cool, Swampert is going to be neutral for any Pokemon if you want to run Poliwrath in the back, which is going to be maybe a bit better than Obstagoon, but quite less interesting. You can also go for that, and then also Quagsire is going to be easier, Summon's going to be easier, but Trevenant might be a little bit more tricky, so like it's kind of depends on what you're going to encounter. I feel like Obstagoon is quite fine in this meta, but we can move on to team number 9. Double Fire again, but this time around we have a different fire type as a say-swap and in the back, and I kind of just wanted to make this video as well here, or like this kind of team, to highlight Turtonator. Turtonator is one of the only Pokemon as well for this meta that completely walls the Charjabug, which is quite an interesting one. As you can see here, completely destroying it. Also, Magcargo looks quite decent. For this team, again, might be a little bit awkward to play against Stunfisk. You can go for the Pelipper, which is going to have a way better matchup in the lead as well if you want to. But otherwise, this team looks like a lot of fun, and I feel like Turtonator is going to be a Pokemon that you might want to try out, especially, yeah, in this current meta, because it can completely hardwall Charjabug, which is going to be a very common say-swap, which you saw already in this video. Anyway, final team for today, going to be a more spicier line here. I kind of want to put like a little bit more spice in here as well, with the Buzzwole. Buzzwole, I feel like, is going to have a lot of play in this meta just because it is the hardest answer to that Vigoroth. But honestly, is there even a Vigoroth on the page? I have not seen Vigoroth yet on this score sheet here anywhere, but maybe that's just an error as well. I just don't see it. Maybe there is one, but yeah, I don't really see it. But anyway, like, we're going to be able to completely destroy the Vigoroth with this Pokemon, which is quite important as well. If you want to go for the lead of Trevenant, you're going to have a little bit of a better matchup against other Charjabugs though, which might be an interesting play as well. Otherwise, Zapdos or the Emolga say-swap. In the back, you have the Lantern, which I feel like Watergun might be not as ideal as Spark. Both are okay though. Yeah, it depends. Like, kind of depends. I like both variants here. You can really depend on what you kind of want to run here. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm going to try my best to find some Ultra teams now as well. And I see you then. Bye-bye.